we have just left Saba Island. It's 9:30 in the morning. That is the entrance to the harbour over there, where the mooring field is. We spent 3 days on a mooring buoy. It was a little bit bouncy from time to time, but not too bad. The island is incredible. And just to my right there, that's new housing, temporary new housing for all the workers that are working on these barges, and they're putting in a new marina for super yachts, which they desperately need because everyone complains about being on these mooring buoys and how bouncy it can be. Now for us being a catamaran, it's not too bad, but for monohulls they all complain. There is more mooring buoys around the corner. There's two fields, there's Ladder Bay and Wells Bay. There's also a place called Diamond Rock where I think you can anchor, but they all complain that it's too long to come in by a tender to come into the port, and there are only 3 buoys, and we was lucky to get one, weren't we, Dave? We got one literally just a stone's throw from the entrance. Now there's a catamaran down there that the harbour master's just called me on and asked me if I know whose it is, because they've anchored when they're not supposed to anchor. And there was a spare mooring board behind us, so they should have took a mooring buoy. Anyway, we are on our way to Sint Eustatius, known as Statia. We had a taxi yesterday drive us around the island for a couple of hours. We did do a bit of walking around the day before, stopped in a couple of bars, had a few beers, and we did have, what did we have, chicken yesterday, weren't they? Chicken, chips and rice. There are 2 main towns. There is Bottom, which is the capital, and there are bars and restaurants here. But a lot of people on Navally say you need to provision before you come here, but that's not true, because on the Windward town, which is up the top, there are 2 supermarkets. One of them's got everything you could ever want. So you don't need to provision before you come here. We did provision in St Bart's because of what we'd read, and I said to David, with 2,000 people living on this island, there's got to be a decent supermarket, and there is. So you don't need to provision before you come here. You can really only get up to Bottom and Windward via a taxi. There is a local shuttle bus which kind of comes along when it wants and then says it can't take holiday makers, tourisms, it can only take locals. Anyway, she took us up, which was nice of us, and then we walked around the Windward town for a couple of hours, had something to eat, and then jumped in a taxi. She took us around the island. She stopped outside the supermarket whilst we went and got some bits and pieces, and then brought us back down to the harbour. And we was with her for about 3 hours in total, and it was $60, which I think was money well spent. But yeah, great time. If anybody is in the area, like St Bart's, St Martin's, it is definitely worth coming to this island. Even if you just come for a day by ferry, you can fly in. It's got one of the shortest runways in the world, 450 metres long, and we did see a plane take off yesterday. But stunning island. Our next island is there, which we're estimated to be in about 3 hours time, and we've already done the customs clearance forms with Sail Clear online. We're good to go. What are you doing, boy?
I'm taking down the Sabre flag.
Yep.
And we're going to put up the Sint Eustatius one.
Yep. Sint Eustatius, that's it. Known as Statia.
Yeah.
And there it is. Okay, well, get that one off. We'll put that one on, and I'll video you raising it. So David is going to wobble on the front deck. Although we haven't got big seas today, he's going to raise the Sint Eustatius flag. And the reason we do that is we don't have to raise a courtesy flag. The yellow one is the quarantine flag because we need to clear customs and quarantine and stuff. You don't have to raise a courtesy flag, but it's polite to do so. So we raise the flag of the country, and we do that when we get inside of 12 nautical miles, which is the international water datum line. You can do it beforehand, but we only had what did we have today? 20-mile journey today?
16.9.
Okay, so we actually raised it virtually in the centre because we've got 7.5 miles to go to get in. There is the island behind us of Saba.
Yes, she's all raised. And
Yep, let's have a look at that. I love them when they're flying. They haven't got a lot of wind today, but
it looks good though.
is she flying nicely?
It's flying lovely.
Oh yeah, there she is, whilst I wobble on deck. Yep. So that's our 5th flag in the Caribbean. So we've raised the St Martin's flag at some point on this journey, the Anguillan flag, the St Bart's flag, the Sabre flag, Sabre, whatever you want to call it, and now Statia. And we're about an hour and a half away from getting into a little bay round there, but it looks like a couple of cargo vessels, fuel tankers out there, and then we should clear customs, stay here for a few days, and then once we leave here we've got 20 miles to go down. We can see the other islands, the island of St Christopher, which is part of St Kitts and Nevis. It's right in the background down here, can't quite see it but we can, but we can clearly see the island in front that we're going to. Lovely calm day, very sort of calm seas, a little bit of a swell occasionally but nothing too much. Nice hot sunny day, perfect conditions. On we go. As we approach the island of Statia, we have a fuel depot, a landing spot over here for all the fuel tankers. You can see a pipe that runs up the side of the hill that goes to the fuel tankers at the top, and there's a couple of tankers over in the corner, and there's a couple out here on anchor, and we're going to go right between them. There's a couple more out over here. So we have to pay attention that none of these boats are underway, because they're very limited in their manoeuvrability. So we've checked on AIS to see if any of them are moving, and they're actually just sitting there waiting for their turn to go in and drop fuel. And we've got to get in just before that big hill. I'd call it a mountain actually, with the village on it. And that's where we've got to anchor and go and clear customs. And we're going to stay here for a couple of 3 days before we then move down to St Christopher, which is part of St Kitts and Nevis. It's taken us just over 3 hours to get here today. About a 17-mile journey. We're moving along at 5 and a bit knots. No wind today in our direction, so there's the island in the back of Sabre. Fairly calm seas. They've even got calmer in the last half an hour as we approach this this land mass. I thought they might have picked up a little bit. Sometimes you get a bit of a squeeze as you come around these land masses, and the waves actually get bigger because they're hitting up against the land mass, and it produces a bit of power back and can put a bit more swell in. But it's actually calmed down as we've got closer. The wind is directly on our nose, so we haven't been able to sail across today. So we've had one engine running, the starboard engine, trying to catch up on the hours to match the port engine. So in a moment we will turn the port engine on, and then we will find the anchorage and see what the coup is over here. We have already checked in online with Sail Clear, so hopefully it's pretty straightforward. Most people that leave reviews on Navily say it's rather a mixture of a nightmare to check in, or it's pretty straightforward. Got a lovely day out here for sailing, that's for sure. So we are now getting closer to our destination and working our way through the oil tankers. There's a couple in over there unloading, and a few out here waiting. We are heading in over there to find an anchorage and clear customs. Been a great sail over today, David, isn't it?
Beautiful, weather's fantastic, isn't it?
Yep, see, look at it, dead calm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's been an enjoyable 3-hour ride over from Sabre today. Very little wind, and then what wind we had was on the nose, but the sea's been fairly calm. Managed to make a little bit of water with a water maker. Got the alternator, the generator running to charge our batteries. And in the background, where them clouds are, you can just see the outline of St Christopher, Nevis and St Kitts. We are on anchor in Statia. There are only 4 of us here, 3 catamarans and 1 monohull. We're anchored in 4 to 5 metres of water. We're 50 metres out on the chain, and we need to head over there, go and do our paperwork. Beautiful bay, very, very calm seas today. Over the back there is the island that we just left of Saba. And you can't quite see it, unfortunately, but just over there, the other side of this piece of land, is St Christopher, Nevis and St Kitts. This is obviously a main port for refining fuel for some of the other islands in the area. So we're at the northern end of this bay. This area here, where there are mooring buoys, are for local dive boats, fishing boats, small tour boats. We're not allowed to take any of the mooring buoys, although Navily says you can. But I did ring and speak to the port authority on the VHF just to confirm, and he told us where to anchor. It's Saturday today, so I'm not sure if immigration's open, but we're going to go ashore and find out. And there's a walking trail there. It takes an hour and a half to walk all the way up to the crater of the volcano. Apparently you see the whole crater once you're up there. It's meant to be spectacular views of the island and surrounding islands, so we might do that, not today but tomorrow. Today we're going to go ashore, find a restaurant, something to eat, come back to the boat, relax, and then tomorrow maybe we'll do that, we'll see. But just a gorgeous, gorgeous day today. It's one of them days when you're glad that you do sailing. Very well maintained across the front. This little bay, surrounded with a garden, looks lovely. There is an old fort here that you can also go and explore. There's the volcano. There's not much in the way of beaches, but I believe there are a couple. But yeah, looks stunning. We are heading in to do our paperwork. Something we always have to do, unfortunately. This catamaran's just come in, literally at the same time as us. These 2 are already here. So there are just 4 yachts in the bay, and all these fishing boats that are on the mooring field. And we've got a beautiful day, but there's a big black cloud that's just come above us, and it's actually spitting with rain. Hopefully that'll stop. So that is where you clear into customs in Statia, and opposite this building is where you check out and pay your bill. What a cool vibe this place has got. You can put your tender over here on the pier and walk round and use the restaurant. Got a nice little volcanic sandy beach. And what a cool little restaurant. All set up for Valentine's Day, look. All its love hearts everywhere.
So the walkway for the water maker, well blocked. I've cleaned it, and I've cleaned the wheel as well. There's so much seaweed around it, so hopefully that'll work better. Oh, really clean that. Right, I'm off. The anchor's well dug in.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Much down there?
Nah, it's all sand. I think you'd have to go in a bit closer. Nice and clear though. Ah. Oh.
So we are on the beautiful island of Statia, and we've just got a taxi down from Gallows Bay, where we're anchored, up to the old town. It's Sunday unfortunately, so most of the restaurants are shut. But our taxi driver that's going to take us on a 1.5 hour drive around the island. We tried to rent scooters, but there's no scooters available, and there's only 2 people that rent scooters out. So we have come up here after leaving the old gin house restaurant and hotel where we had a beer, and our taxi driver's brought us up to this amazing, believe it or not, Chinese restaurant. So we're going to have Chinese, and then after we've had our Chinese, our taxi driver's going to come back and take us on a 1.5 hour excursion around the island. So we're checked out of customs, ready to leave for tomorrow, and yeah, we're going to have a bit of Chinese. It's very hot where I'm sitting. Hot, isn't it? Really hot. And yeah, this is a Chinese restaurant. It doesn't look much, but apparently the food's meant to be good. However, she said there's another Chinese restaurant and the food's better, but it's not open on a Sunday, so we've had to settle for seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what are we thinking of this little island, David?
I think it's a beautiful little island.
Yeah, it's unusual.
It's beautiful, yeah. It's
The
really
bay
nice.
is just magnificent, the anchoring bay, isn't it?
The old gin house is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, we just had a beer there. We had dinner there yesterday, which we had barbecue ribs, which was really good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, and we're going to have a tour of the island today after dinner, and then get back on a boat, leave in the morning, and head to St Christopher, which is part of which is part of Nevis and St Kitts.
Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait. Wait for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us. If we just hold on tight, this vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. Now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. Wait for our home to show on the horizon. Soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us. If we just hold on tight, this vision that I saw is getting closer every day.